Welcome back to the channel, Rare Coins History, Top 1, where history, mystery, and money all meet in the palm of your hand. Today we are diving deep into one of the most iconic and widely collected coins ever produced by the United States of America, a coin that almost everyone has seen, many people have spent, but very few truly understand. This is the United States Washington quarter dollar dated 1776 to 1976, the legendary Bicentennial quarter. A coin that celebrates freedom, independence, and 200 years of American history, yet quietly hides the potential to be worth far more than 25 cents. At first glance, this quarter may seem ordinary. It has been in pockets, piggy banks, cash registers, and coin jars across the country for decades. But behind its familiar design lies a fascinating story of national pride, special minting, rare varieties, and collector demand that continues to grow year after year. Stay with me until the end, because we will reveal the real money value this coin has achieved at auction, and the numbers may genuinely surprise you. To truly understand this coin, we have to travel back to the early 1970s. The United States was preparing to celebrate a historic milestone, the 200th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. This was not just another anniversary. It was a once-in-a-lifetime moment for the nation, and the U.S. Mint wanted to honor it in a way that would reach every American. Instead of issuing a single commemorative coin that few people would ever see, the Mint made a bold decision. They redesigned circulating coinage so that everyday Americans could hold history in their hands. The quarter dollar was chosen as one of the main canvases for this celebration. The familiar image of George Washington, which had appeared on the quarter since 1932, remained on the front. But instead of the usual eagle on the back, something completely new and symbolic would appear. The result was a striking design unlike anything seen on U.S. coins before. On the front of the Bicentennial quarter, we see George Washington, calm, dignified, and resolute. This portrait, originally designed by John Flanagan, represents leadership, sacrifice, and the foundation of the nation. Surrounding Washington's image are the words, "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," powerful phrases that echo the ideals upon which the United States was built. But what truly sets this coin apart is the dual date beneath Washington's portrait, 1776 to 1976. These dates link the birth of the nation to its bicentennial celebration, instantly transforming this quarter into a historical marker. Turning the coin over reveals the most dramatic change. The reverse features a colonial drummer boy, a symbol of the American revolutionary spirit. The drummer represents the ordinary citizens who took up arms, stood their ground, and fought for independence. Behind the drummer is a victory torch encircled by 13 stars, representing the original 13 colonies. This design is bold, emotional, and deeply patriotic. It reminds us that freedom was not given, but earned. The drummer boy design was created by Jack L. Ahr, and it beat out hundreds of other submissions in a national design competition. The fact that a citizen-submitted design was chosen makes this coin even more special, as it reflects the voice and creativity of the American people during the bicentennial era. Now here is where things start to get truly interesting for collectors. The 1776 to 1976 Washington quarter was produced in massive quantities, but not all of them were made the same way. These quarters were struck at 3 different mints, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Each mint produced different versions, and those differences play a huge role in determining value today. Philadelphia and Denver minted coins intended for everyday circulation. These are the coins most people are familiar with. However, San Francisco produced special collector versions, including proof coins and coins made with a higher silver content. Unlike regular quarters made of copper and nickel, some bicentennial quarters contain 40% silver. These silver issues were never meant for circulation and were sold directly to collectors in special sets. Condition is everything when it comes to coin value, and this is especially true for the bicentennial quarter. Most circulated examples show wear, scratches, and loss of detail from decades of use. These coins are common and usually worth face value. But coins that survived in pristine condition, especially those that were never circulated, are a completely different story. Uncirculated quarters with sharp details, original mint luster, and no signs of wear can command significantly higher prices. Proof coins, struck with specially prepared dies and polished blanks, are even more desirable. These coins feature mirror-like fields and frosted designs that create stunning visual contrast. Collectors also search aggressively for errors and varieties. Some bicentennial quarters were struck with double dies, where letters or numbers appear slightly doubled. Others show off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or unusual minting flaws. These errors transform an already historic coin into a unique collectible, often pushing its value far beyond that of standard examples. Another critical factor is professional grading. Coins certified by top grading services and awarded high grades such as MS67, MS68, or PR70 become elite collectibles. At these levels, even small differences in quality can mean massive differences in price. Only a tiny fraction of bicentennial quarters have achieved the highest grades, which fuels intense competition among collectors. Beyond rarity and condition, there is something else that gives the 1776 to 1976 Washington quarter its enduring appeal. This coin is emotionally powerful. It represents unity during a time when the nation reflected on its past and its future. It connects generations, from those who lived through the bicentennial celebrations to younger collectors discovering the coin today. That emotional connection keeps demand strong and ensures that top examples remain highly desirable. Now let's talk about the part everyone is waiting for, the money. While most bicentennial quarters are worth only 25 cents, elite examples tell a completely different story. At major coin auctions, high-grade silver-proof bicentennial quarters and rare error varieties have achieved astonishing results. Some of these coins have sold for tens of thousands of dollars, with top-graded examples reaching auction prices exceeding $19,000, proving that this patriotic quarter can be a serious investment as well as a piece of history. Top 2. Today, we're focusing on a coin that many people have spent without a second thought, a coin that quietly passed through one of the most dramatic transitions in U.S. monetary history. This is the United States of America Washington quarter dollar dated 1966. At first glance, it looks simple, even ordinary. But behind this modest design lies a powerful story of change, uncertainty, and hidden collector value that continues to grow with time. The year 1966 was not just another date on the calendar for American coinage. It marked a period of economic pressure, rising metal prices, and a complete shift in how U.S. coins were made. Just a year earlier, silver had been removed from circulating quarters, ending an era that stretched back generations. For the first time, Americans were holding quarters made not of precious metal, but of copper and nickel. The 1966 Washington quarter stands right at the heart of this transformation, making it a key historical coin from a turning point in U.S. history. When you look at the front of the 1966 quarter, you see the familiar portrait of George Washington. Calm, composed, and dignified, Washington's image has appeared on the quarter since 1932. His presence represents leadership, independence, and the birth of the nation. Surrounding his portrait are the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," phrases that reflect the core values of the United States. But something important is missing on this coin, something collectors immediately notice. There is no mint mark. From 1965 through 1967, the U.S. Mint intentionally removed mint marks from coins. This was done to discourage collectors from hoarding new coins during a time of coin shortages. Because of this, all 1966 Washington quarters look the same regardless of where they were made. This small detail adds a layer of intrigue and makes the year especially unique in the Washington quarter series. Turning the coin over, we find the iconic eagle reverse, a design that had been used on quarters for decades before the bicentennial redesign later in the 1970s. The eagle stands proudly with outstretched wings, clutching arrows that symbolize strength and readiness, while olive branches represent peace. Above the eagle is the powerful phrase "E pluribus unum," meaning, out of many, one. This reverse design connects the 1966 quarter to earlier generations, even as the coin itself represents a new era. Although the 1966 quarter was produced in very large numbers, most examples were heavily circulated. They were used in vending machines, parking meters, grocery stores, and gas stations across the country. Over time, this everyday use caused wear, scratches, and loss of detail. As a result, finding a 1966 Washington quarter in exceptional condition today is far more difficult than many people realize. Condition plays a massive role in determining the value of this coin. A circulated example with visible wear is common and holds little collector interest. But uncirculated coins, especially those with strong original luster, sharp details, and no contact marks, are a completely different story. These coins were often saved in rolls or mint sets and never entered daily use. Because fewer people thought to preserve clad coins in the 1960s, truly pristine examples are surprisingly scarce. Even more desirable are special strike coins from 1966. During this period, the U.S. Mint did not officially produce traditional proof coins. Instead, it issued special mint set coins with a unique finish that falls somewhere between business strikes and proofs. These special strike quarters have smoother surfaces, sharper details, and a distinctive appearance that collectors actively seek out today. Error coins add yet another layer of excitement. Some 1966 quarters were struck with off-center designs, clipped planchets, or double die features. These errors occurred during the minting process and were never intended to exist. Because each error is unique, collectors prize them highly. A dramatic and clearly visible error can transform an ordinary 1966 quarter into a standout collectible. Professional grading has also elevated the status of the 1966 Washington quarter. Coins certified by major grading services and awarded very high mint state grades are extremely rare. At the top levels, even the smallest imperfections can prevent a coin from achieving elite status. That rarity fuels competition among collectors who want the best examples available. What makes the 1966 Washington quarter especially fascinating is that it represents a moment when American money changed forever. It is a symbol of adaptation, of a nation responding to economic realities while maintaining its identity. For collectors, it offers history, challenge, and opportunity all in one coin. Now for the part everyone waits for, the real-world value. While most 1966 Washington quarters are still worth face value, exceptional examples tell a very different story. At major coin auctions, top-graded special strike and high mint state 1966 quarters have achieved remarkable results, with some selling for auction prices exceeding $8,000, proving that even a non-silver quarter from the 1960s can be a serious collector treasure. Top 3. Today, we are taking a deep and fascinating journey into a coin that most people overlook, yet serious collectors never ignore. This is the United States of America Washington quarter dollar dated 1970. A coin born in a decade of change, ambition, and uncertainty, and one that quietly holds the potential to be far more valuable than it appears at first glance. The 1970 Washington quarter comes from a time when the United States was redefining itself. The nation had landed on the moon just a year earlier, social movements were reshaping society, and the economy was adjusting to life without silver in everyday coinage. By 1970, Americans were fully using clad coins made of copper and nickel, a dramatic shift from the precious metal money of the past. This quarter stands as a symbol of that transition, linking old traditions with a modern monetary system. On the front of the coin, we see the timeless portrait of George Washington. Strong, thoughtful, and dignified, Washington's image has been a constant presence on the quarter for decades. The design reflects stability and leadership during a time when the country faced both opportunity and uncertainty. The words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" frame the portrait, reinforcing the ideals that define the American identity. Beneath Washington's image sits the date 1970, a year that may seem ordinary, but carries extraordinary meaning in the world of coin collecting. Turning the coin over reveals the familiar eagle reverse design. The eagle stands with wings spread wide, clutching arrows while olive branches rest below, symbolizing the balance between strength and peace. Above the eagle appears the phrase "E pluribus unum," reminding us that the nation is built from many individuals united as one. This classic design was nearing the end of its long run by 1970, making this coin one of the final chapters of a historic era in U.S. quarter design. Most 1970 quarters were produced in large numbers and circulated heavily. They passed through countless hands, paid for everyday purchases, and lived hard lives in cash registers, vending machines, and pockets across America. As a result, the majority of surviving examples show clear signs of wear, including flattened details, scratches, and loss of luster. These circulated coins are common and usually carry little collector value, but condition changes everything. Uncirculated 1970 Washington quarters are far scarcer than many people realize. During this period, fewer individuals saved rolls of new coins, especially clad coins that were seen as less valuable than their silver predecessors. Coins that remain in pristine condition today often owe their survival to chance rather than intention. Sharp strikes, clean surfaces, and original mint luster can dramatically elevate a coin's desirability. Proof coins from 1970 add another level of interest. Produced at the San Francisco Mint, these proof quarters were specially struck for collectors using polished dies and carefully prepared blanks. The result is a coin with mirror-like fields and crisp, frosted details. Proof quarters were not meant for circulation and were stored in protective cases, which helps explain their superior condition compared to regular business strikes. Error coins are where the story of the 1970 Washington quarter becomes truly captivating. Some coins from this year were struck with minting mistakes that make them extremely rare. Off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and double die features are just a few examples. Each error tells a story of the minting process and creates a one-of-a-kind collectible that stands out dramatically from standard coins. However, there is one legendary rarity associated with the 1970 Washington quarter that has achieved almost mythical status among collectors. A small number of proof quarters dated 1970 were accidentally struck on planchets intended for a different coin altogether. These wrong planchet errors are extraordinarily rare and instantly recognizable to experts. They represent a perfect storm of timing, human oversight, and minting complexity. Collectors prize these error coins not only for their rarity, but for the mystery and excitement surrounding their creation. Owning one is like holding a secret chapter of American mint history, a mistake that slipped through quality control and survived decades unnoticed. Professional grading plays a critical role in determining the value of any 1970 quarter. Coins certified by major grading services and awarded high mint state or proof grades become elite collectibles. At these levels, even microscopic flaws can separate a common coin from a record-setting one. Competition among collectors for top-graded examples can be intense, driving prices higher and higher. What makes the 1970 Washington quarter so compelling is its contrast. It looks simple, familiar, and ordinary, yet it exists within a world of nuance, rarity, and hidden value. It represents a moment in American history when money was changing, technology was advancing, and the future felt both uncertain and full of promise. Now, let's talk about the moment everyone waits for, the money. While most 1970 Washington quarters are worth only face value, extraordinary examples tell a very different story. At major coin auctions, rare high-grade proofs and legendary error varieties from 1970 have achieved astonishing results, with one famous example selling at auction for over $35,000, proving that even a modern-looking quarter can be a life-changing discovery. Top 4. Today we're focusing on a coin that almost everyone has seen, many have spent, and very few have truly examined closely. This is the United States of America Washington quarter dollar dated 1974. A coin born in a decade of economic tension, cultural change, and evolving money, quietly carrying a story that collectors find more fascinating with each passing year. The mid-1970s were a turbulent time for the United States. Inflation was rising, confidence in the economy was being tested, and Americans were adjusting to a new reality where precious metals were no longer part of everyday coinage. Silver had disappeared from circulating quarters less than a decade earlier, and clad coins had fully taken over daily commerce. The 1974 Washington quarter stands firmly in this new era, representing practicality, mass production, and modern American currency. On the front of the coin, the familiar portrait of George Washington immediately commands attention. His expression is steady and thoughtful, symbolizing leadership and endurance during uncertain times. This design, originally created by John Flanagan, had already become one of the most recognized images in American coinage by 1974. The words liberty and in God we trust surround Washington's profile, reinforcing the ideals that continued to anchor the nation despite economic and political challenges. Below Washington's portrait sits the date 1974, a year that may not stand out at first glance, but one that plays a significant role in the story of modern U.S. coin collecting. Unlike earlier quarters made of silver, this coin was struck in a copper-nickel clad composition, giving it durability for circulation but also changing how collectors viewed and preserved these coins. Turning the coin over reveals the powerful eagle reverse design. The eagle stands with wings outstretched, clutching arrows while olive branches rest below, symbolizing the balance between military strength and peace. Above the eagle appears E pluribus unum, a reminder that the nation is formed from many voices united as one. This classic reverse design was nearing the end of its historic run during the 1970s, making coins like the 1974 quarter part of the closing chapter of a long-standing tradition. The vast majority of 1974 Washington quarters were struck for circulation and used heavily. They passed through countless hands, paid for meals, parking meters, movie tickets, and everyday necessities. Over time, this constant use left its mark. Many surviving examples show worn details, dull surfaces, scratches, and contact marks. These circulated coins are extremely common and typically hold little interest for collectors, but the story changes dramatically when condition enters the conversation. Uncirculated 1974 quarters are far more elusive than many people expect. During this era, most Americans had stopped saving new coins, especially clad coins that were seen as ordinary and disposable. As a result, coins that remain in mint condition today are surprisingly scarce. Those that still display full original luster, sharp design details, and clean surfaces stand out immediately to experienced collectors. Proof coins from 1974 add another layer of depth to this story. These were produced at the San Francisco Mint specifically for collectors. Proof quarters were struck using specially polished dies and carefully prepared blanks, resulting in coins with mirror-like backgrounds and frosted details. They were never meant to circulate and were typically sold in protective sets, preserving their pristine appearance. Collectors closely examine proof coins for clarity, contrast, and overall eye appeal. Even among proofs, quality can vary significantly. Coins with deep mirror surfaces and strong contrast are far more desirable than average examples. This difference in quality can have a dramatic impact on long-term value. Errors are where the 1974 Washington quarter truly becomes exciting. During the minting process, mistakes sometimes occurred, creating coins that were never intended to exist. Off-center strikes, clipped planchets, weak strikes, and double die features are among the errors collectors search for. Each error is unique, and no two are exactly alike, making them especially appealing to specialists. Some 1974 quarters exhibit doubled lettering or numbers that can be seen with magnification. Others show dramatic off-center designs where part of the coin's image is missing entirely. These errors tell a story of machinery, timing, and human oversight inside the U.S. Mint, turning an ordinary coin into a rare artifact. Professional grading plays a crucial role in separating common examples from elite collectibles. Coins certified by respected grading services and awarded high mint state or proof grades are far more desirable. At the top levels, only a tiny number of 1,974 quarters exist. Competition among collectors for these finest known examples can be fierce, pushing prices well beyond what most people would ever expect for a clad quarter. What makes the 1974 Washington quarter especially compelling is its understated nature. It does not rely on silver content or flashy redesigns. Instead, its appeal comes from condition, rarity at the highest levels, and the fascinating errors that emerged from mass production. It represents a period when American coinage was practical, durable, and designed for everyday use, yet still capable of producing remarkable collectibles. Now we arrive at the moment that surprises almost everyone. While the majority of 1974 Washington quarters remain worth only face value, exceptional examples tell a completely different story. At major coin auctions, top-graded proof coins and rare era varieties from 1974 have achieved astonishing results, with some selling for auction prices exceeding $10,000, proving that even a humble quarter from the 1970s can become a serious collector treasure. Top 5. Today we are exploring a coin that many people born in the 1980s grew up using, a coin that still shows up in circulation, yet one that hides a fascinating collector story beneath its familiar surface. This is the United States of America Washington quarter dollar dated 1981. A coin from a quiet but critical moment in U.S. mint history, and one that can be far more valuable than most people ever imagine. The early 1980s were a challenging time for the United States economy. Inflation, high interest rates, and financial uncertainty affected everyday life across the nation. Coin production during this era reflected those pressures. The U.S. Mint was focused on efficiency, cost control, and meeting demand rather than creating coins meant to be saved. As a result, the 1981 Washington quarter was struck primarily for circulation, with very little attention paid to long-term preservation. When you look at the front of the 1981 quarter, you see the iconic portrait of George Washington, a design that had already stood the test of time for nearly 50 years. Washington's expression is calm and resolute, symbolizing leadership, perseverance, and national identity. The words "Liberty and in God We Trust" surround his profile, reinforcing values that remained important even during uncertain economic times. Beneath his portrait sits the date 1981, marking a year that would later gain unexpected importance among collectors. One of the most interesting aspects of the 1981 Washington quarter is that it was produced during a period when very few uncirculated coins were saved by the public. Coin collecting had declined from its mid-century popularity, and many people assumed modern coins would never be valuable. As a result, most 1981 quarters were spent immediately and circulated heavily, making high-quality survivors far scarcer than their original mintages suggest. Turning the coin over reveals the classic eagle reverse design. The eagle stands proudly with wings outstretched, clutching arrows to represent strength, while olive branches below symbolize peace. Above the eagle appears E pluribus unum, a phrase that speaks to unity and national purpose. This reverse design was nearing the end of its historic run, adding to the long-term appeal of coins from this era. The 1981 Washington quarter was struck in a copper-nickel-clad composition, designed for durability rather than collectability. Over time, heavy circulation caused most examples to lose their original luster. Scratches, contact marks, dull surfaces, and worn details are extremely common. For collectors, this widespread wear is exactly what makes truly pristine examples so desirable today. Condition is the key factor that separates ordinary 1981 quarters from exceptional ones. Coins that remain uncirculated, with sharp details, clean surfaces, and full mint luster, are surprisingly difficult to find. Even small marks can dramatically reduce a coin's grade, and at the highest levels, perfection is extremely rare. Proof coins from 1981 add another layer of intrigue. These were produced at the San Francisco Mint specifically for collectors. Proof quarters were struck using specially polished dies and carefully prepared blanks, resulting in mirror-like fields and crisp, frosted details. However, even among proof coins, quality varies widely. Some proofs suffer from haze, spotting, or weak contrast, making top-quality examples especially desirable. Collectors pay close attention to strike quality, surface preservation, and eye appeal. Proof quarters with deep mirrors and strong contrast stand out immediately and command far greater interest than average examples. The difference between a typical proof and an exceptional one can be dramatic, both visually and financially. Error coins from 1981 are another exciting area of collecting. Some quarters from this year were struck with mistakes during the minting process, creating coins that are completely unique. Off-center strikes, clipped planchets, weak strikes, and double die features are among the errors that collectors search for. These errors transform a common coin into a conversation piece, and a prized collectible. Doubled lettering, especially on the date or inscriptions, can add significant appeal. Other errors show missing details or unusual shapes caused by mechanical issues during striking. Each error tells a story of the complex machinery and human involvement behind U.S. coin production. professional grading plays a major role in determining the value of 1981 Washington quarters. Coins certified by respected grading services and awarded high mint state or proof grades are far more desirable than raw examples. At the very top levels, population numbers are extremely low. This scarcity creates intense competition among collectors who want the finest known examples for their collections. What makes the 1981 Washington quarter especially fascinating is how unassuming it is. It does not feature silver, special designs, or commemorative themes. Yet its value potential lies in rarity of condition, overlooked preservation, and the simple fact that very few people thought to save them at the time. It is a perfect example of how modern coins can quietly become future collectibles. Now we reach the part that always surprises people. While most 1981 Washington quarters are still worth only face value, exceptional coins tell a very different story. At major coin auctions, top-graded uncirculated examples and high-quality proof quarters from 1981 have achieved impressive results, with some selling for auction prices exceeding $7,000, proving that even a modern-looking quarter can become a valuable collector treasure.